If you want to improve your English or learn the American accent, you are in the right place. Audio podcasts are one of the best ways to improve your English speaking skills and fluency because the more you listen, the better you speak. If you want to enhance your English skills and expand your vocabulary, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell icon. I upload daily videos on language learning tips which help you in two ways. 1. You stay updated with trends. 2. Your English speaking skills improve naturally. So start listening today and take your English fluency to the next level.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving deep, really deep, into the life of one of NASA's most accomplished astronauts.
Oh, absolutely.
Sunita Williams. And you know, it's really cool.
What's that?
As we speak, she's actually up there on the International Space Station on her third mission, no less.
Wow, third mission. That's incredible.
It is. And it's actually extended, longer than planned because of those technical hiccups with Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Talk about a real-life space drama, right? It really makes you appreciate the unpredictable side of space exploration, all the challenges they have to navigate.
Totally. And it's not just, being up there for the sake of it. She spent, think about this, over 600 days in space across all her missions. Now, that's resilience.
600 days. That's mind-boggling. I mean, that's longer than most people spend.
Longer than a year and a half. Crazy.
Exactly. It's longer than most people spend in like a new apartment lease, right?
That's a good way to put it. A super long apartment lease in space.
Yeah, in a pretty unique apartment, you could say.
And she's not just floating around up there. She's commanded the ISS multiple times, done record-setting spacewalks. This woman's a true pioneer,
A trailblazer, absolutely. And her story is just so fascinating from what I've read, like where she comes from, how she got to NASA, all of it.
Exactly. So today, we're covering it all. Early life, education, her path through NASA, all those incredible space missions, what she's accomplished, what drives her, the personal stuff, and then some fun facts, the surprising things. And finally, what's her impact been? How do people see her? All of that.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover, but it sounds like it's going to be a really fascinating deep dive.
It is. Buckle up. So Suni Williams, she was born, get this, Sunita Lynn Pandya in Euclid, Ohio, back in 1965. But she really grew up in Needham, Massachusetts, youngest of three.
Okay, Needham, Massachusetts, got it.
And right away, you notice something pretty special about her background, right? This blend of cultures she comes from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Multicultural, for sure. Her dad, Dr. Deepak Pandya, he was Indian American, a neuroanatomist, roots in Gujarat, India.
Wow, a neuroanatomist.
And then her mom, Ursuline Bani Pandya, she was Slovenian American. So you've got this really interesting mix right from the start.
You can see it in the nicknames even. Here, it's Suni, but in Slovenia, they call her Sunika.
Sonika, I like that.
And it goes beyond names, She took a Slovenian flag with her to space, and samosas, and even, carniolan sausage.
Wait, she brought sausage to space?
I know, right?
That's amazing.
It's like a little piece of home up there in this completely otherworldly environment.
Yeah.
And she's visited her dad's ancestral village in India several times. So clearly, her heritage is very important to her.
That makes sense, right? Having those connections to your past, your family, especially when you're in such an isolated place like space, it probably gives you a sense of grounding.
I bet. So let's talk education. Pretty impressive path. Needham High School, then a Bachelor of Science in Physical Science from, get this, the U.S. Naval Academy. Graduated in '87.
Okay, so she was already in the Navy before NASA.
Yeah, and later on, she got a master's in engineering management from Florida Institute of Technology. But here's the kicker. She didn't start out wanting to be an astronaut at all.
Really? What did she want to be?
A veterinarian. Can you imagine? Dr. Williams, the animal doctor?
That's funny. You never know where life's going to take you, do you?
You really don't. But there were a couple of key moments that kind of changed her trajectory. One, visiting her brother Jay at, guess where? The Naval Academy.
Ah, okay. So the Navy junction was already strong.
It was. And then, this is classic, seeing Top Gun. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't? That was huge back then.
Huge. So suddenly, she's got this interest in flying. And her brother, he was like, hey, you're a great swimmer. You should think about the Naval Academy. And then, boom, she shifts gears from vet school to physical sciences.
Interesting how those little moments, those nudges, can make such a big difference.
Right. It's like a chain reaction. She gets commissioned as an ensign in '87, earns her naval aviator wings a couple years later. And she racks up over 3,000 flight hours in over 30 different aircraft. I mean, talk about experience.
That's a serious pilot right there.
Absolutely. But it was at test pilot school that she really started thinking about space. She heard astronaut John Glenn talk about how helicopter skills, something she was already good at, were surprisingly important for Apollo astronauts landing on the moon.
Wow, that must have been an eye-opener. Like connecting her current expertise to space travel. It's a pretty direct link when you think about it.
Definitely. A real light bulb moment, I bet. Okay, so let's fast forward to NASA. June 1998, she's selected for astronaut training. And she's actually serving on the USS Saipan at the time.
On a ship. That's pretty cool.
It is. So she reports to Johnson Space Center pretty soon after. But guess what? First time she applied to the astronaut program, she got turned down.
No way. She got rejected.
Rejected. It shows you even the most successful people face setbacks.
That's a good reminder for everybody. Don't give up on your dreams just because you hit a bump in the road.
Exactly. Persistence pays off. So first space mission, December 2006, Space Shuttle Discovery. This is Expedition 1415. And she's up there for 195 days.
Wow, almost 200 days. That's a long time.
It is. Serving as flight engineer, main goal was to join the Expedition 14 crew on the ISS.
Okay, so this is where she starts racking up all that time in space.
Exactly. And then second mission, July 2012. This time it's Expedition 3233, another 127 days. She starts off as flight engineer, but then she gets promoted, you could say.
Promoted to what? What's higher than flight engineer?
Commander of the ISS.
No way. She was in command.
She was, September 2012. Only the second woman to ever command the space station.
That's incredible. So not only is she spending all this time in space, but she's also taking on leadership roles. Really impressive.
Really impressive. Okay, and then we come to the current mission, Expedition 7172. June 5, 2024, she blasts off. This time she's piloting Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. It's supposed to be a shorter mission, a test flight, basically.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
But then remember those technical issues. Helium leaks, problems with the propulsion system.
Yeah, things got a little dicey from what I recall.
A little dicey is an understatement.
Yeah.
So her and Butch Wilmore, they ended up spending way longer than planned on the ISS, over 9 months, 286 days to be exact.
9 months? That wasn't in the brochure, I bet.
Definitely not. But talk about rolling with the punches. They eventually came back to Earth on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft in March 2025.
So they switched spacecraft.
They did. It's amazing how they were able to pull that off.
Yeah.
Real teamwork between all the different space agencies and companies.
And during all that time, wasn't she also commander again?
She was, second time commanding the ISS, from September 2024 to March 2025. Just think about that responsibility. Leading an international crew in space for months on end. And she's done it twice.
Twice. That's incredible leadership. And you said she's now the second most experienced American astronaut in terms of time in space.
Yep, 608 days total. Only Peggy Whitson has spent more time up there.
Wow, that's history-making stuff right there.
It is. All right, let's talk achievements. This is where it gets really fun. Let's start with spacewalks. This woman's a record breaker.
Spacewalks, those are like the ultimate test of an astronaut's skill, right?
They are, and she's done 9 of them, totaling over 62 hours outside the ISS. That's more spacewalking time than any other woman in history.
9 spacewalks. That's more than I've taken walks around my neighborhood.
I hear you. And she's ranked 4th overall among NASA astronauts for total spacewalk time. And these aren't just leisurely strolls in orbit. They're doing complex repairs, installing equipment, gathering samples. It's risky, demanding work.
Yeah, you got to have nerves of steel to do that kind of stuff.
For sure. So, first mission, she does 3 spacewalks with Michael Lopez Alegria. Over 29 hours total. Second mission, another 3, racking up another 21 hours. And even on this recent extended mission, she did a spacewalk with Butch Wilmore.
So no matter how long she's up there, she's always ready to get outside and get her hands dirty, so to speak.
Literally, sometimes. And then, of course, we had the 2 times she commanded the ISS. That's a huge responsibility. You're not just managing systems, you're leading a diverse team, dealing with unexpected situations and making critical decisions. It's leadership on a whole other level.
It really is. It's like being the captain of a ship, but a ship that's constantly falling around the Earth.
The best analogy ever. And let's not forget the science. I mean, she's been involved in so many experiments on the ISS, studying how microgravity affects the human body, which is crucial for longer missions to, say, Mars.
Right, because if we're going to send people to Mars, we got to know how their bodies will hold up on those long journeys.
Exactly. And she's worked on plant growth experiments, which could be important for growing food in space. Plus, testing new technologies for future missions. It's cutting-edge stuff.
So she's not just an astronaut, she's a scientist too.
Exactly. Multi-talented.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the glamorous science experiments, it's the everyday stuff that keeps the ISS running. Like when the toilet broke, she helped fix it.
Wait, the toilet broke? In space?
It did. Imagine that plumbing bill.
Yeah.
But seriously, every task up there is important. And on this latest extended mission, she and the crew logged over 900 hours on research, working on over 150 different experiments.
900 hours. That's like having a full-time job doing research on top of being an astronaut.
It is. And some of these experiments are really cool. There's one called bionutrients, where they're trying to use beneficial bacteria to produce fresh nutrients for astronauts.
So like growing their own food using bacteria? That's fascinating.
It is. And then there's the packed bed reactor experiment, which is all about improving water recycling and fuel cell technology. Super important for long-duration missions.
So it's not just about exploring space, it's about figuring out how to live there sustainably.
Exactly. And Sunita Williams is right there on the cutting edge of that. Okay, now here's something really exciting. Her role in commercial spaceflight. Back in 2015, she was selected to work with the U.S. commercial spaceflight program. You know, companies like SpaceX and Boeing.
Right, because private companies are playing a bigger and bigger role in space these days.
They are. And she trained with both SpaceX and Boeing. And then she piloted Boeing's Starliner on its first crewed test flight.
So she was the first person to fly the Starliner with a crew.
She was. And the first woman to pilot any orbital spacecraft on its initial crewed test. Talk about breaking barriers.
That's a huge milestone. It really shows how far we've come in terms of opening up space to more people.
It does. And it speaks to her willingness to embrace new challenges and be part of this new era of space exploration. Okay, ready for some more amazing feats?
Hit me with it.
In 2007, during her first mission, she became the first person to run a marathon in space. The Boston Marathon, on a treadmill on the ISS.
A marathon in space. I can barely run a mile on Earth.
Right. And then, in 2012, she completed a triathlon in space. They even had a way to simulate swimming using one of the exercise machines.
That's just incredible. I mean, talk about dedication and staying active even in microgravity.
It's inspiring, isn't it? And going back to her first mission, she actually broke the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman at that time, 192 days. She's a woman of many firsts.
Many firsts. And she just keeps pushing the boundaries of what's possible. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Talk about her personal life, what motivates her. You mentioned she had a long career in the Navy.
Yeah, a really distinguished career. Commissioned in '87, naval aviator by '89, over 3,000 flight hours serving in different helicopter squadrons. She even helped with Hurricane Andrew relief efforts.
So, I mean, talk about a life of service, right? Both in the military and as an astronaut.
Absolutely. And she was a test pilot, an instructor, retired as a captain in 2017. It's a background that clearly prepared her for the challenges of spaceflight.
Yeah, all that experience, the discipline, the teamwork, the ability to stay calm under pressure, it all translates, right?
Sure. Now, on a personal level, she's married to Michael J. Williams. He's a helicopter pilot too, so they share that passion. They enjoy physical fitness, working on houses, cars, airplanes together.
So they're both pretty hands-on. I like that.
They are. And she had a Jack Russell Terrier named Gorby, who was even on the show Dog Whisperer. And in 2012, she said she wanted to adopt a girl from Ahmedabad in India.
Oh, that's sweet. It shows her connection to her heritage, her family's roots.
It does. And her faith is very important to her. She's Hindu and has taken things like the Bhagavad Gita, an Om symbol, and the Upanishads to space with her.
It's like taking a little piece of her spiritual home with her.
Yeah, it must be comforting to have those things with you, especially when you're so far away from everything familiar.
Absolutely. And she's visited important religious sites in India, her ancestral village where she's been honored. And she's made trips to Slovenia and been recognized there, too.
Even an elementary school in Needham, Massachusetts, was named after her back in 2017. It's amazing how her influence extends to so many different places.
She's a global inspiration, that's for sure.
She is. Now, have you ever wondered what it's like to live on the ISS?
Oh, all the time. It's like the ultimate off-grid living situation, right?
It is. So food-wise, it's mostly prepackaged stuff. They have some variety, pizza, shrimp cocktails. But fresh produce is a rare treat. And get this, they recycle their water from all sources. Condensation, urine, even sweat.
Wait, they drink recycled sweat?
They do. It's incredibly efficient, and it shows how resourceful they have to be.
That's amazing. I mean, talk about sustainability. They're really living it up there.
Living it up in a very unique way. And sleep is a whole different thing. They have these personal sleeping stations where they basically float in sleeping bags. And because they see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day, Their sleep-wake cycle gets all messed up.
Yeah, I can't even imagine trying to sleep with that many sunrises and sunsets.
So they have to stick to a really strict schedule. Use special lighting, noise-canceling earbuds, sleep masks, and exercise is crucial, 2 to 3 hours every day, to combat the effects of microgravity.
Yeah, gotta stay in shape up there. No couch potatoes allowed on the ISS.
Exactly. You know, what really stands out about Sunita Williams is her mindset, her discipline. Her family always emphasized curiosity, hard work, perseverance. And you can see that in everything she does. Even when the Starliner mission got extended, she stayed positive, focused.
She's clearly got that inner strength. And you mentioned she had doubts about whether she was qualified for NASA.
She did. It's hard to believe, right? But it just shows that even the most accomplished people have moments of self-doubt.
It's a good reminder that we all have those moments. It's about pushing through them.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And her advice to aspiring astronauts: study STEM, follow your passions, learn to be a good leader and a team player, and never give up. Be adaptable, because things don't always go according to plan.
Solid advice no matter what field you're in.
Okay, ready for some fun facts? The surprising stuff?
Always.
We've talked about her nicknames, the cultural items she's taken to space, the marathon, the triathlon. But did you know she donated her ponytail to Locks of Love while she was on the ISS?
Really? That's awesome. It's like even in space, she's still thinking about ways to help others.
And then there's the story of the wasabi geyser. Apparently, she opened a tube of wasabi up there, and because of the pressure difference, it exploded.
A wasabi geyser. That's hilarious. I bet that cleared out the sinuses.
I can only imagine. And before NASA, she was an aircraft handler and assistant air boss on the USS Saipan. Talk about a demanding job. We know she was initially rejected from NASA, and her ancestral village in India is incredibly proud of her. She considers Lord Ganesh to be her lucky charm.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Lots of hard work, perseverance, and maybe a little bit of luck too.
It's a good recipe for success. Oh, and remember how her Starliner mission got extended and she had to come back on a SpaceX Dragon? That's pretty unique. And before this current mission, she wasn't even in the top 50 astronauts for time in space. Now she's expected to be in the top 12.
That's a big jump. From not even in the top 50 to the top 12, that really shows the impact of this latest mission.
It does. Okay, let's wrap up by talking about her impact, how she's perceived. First of all, her multicultural background is so important. She represents the increasingly diverse face of space exploration.
Absolutely. She's an inspiration for people from all backgrounds, all cultures, especially young women and underrepresented groups who might not see themselves in STEM fields.
Exactly. She's a role model, showing them that it's possible to achieve anything you set your mind to. And her extended Starliner mission has only increased her visibility, made her story even more powerful.
And given her experience, especially with the Commercial Crew program, do you think she could be a candidate for future missions to the moon?
Oh, absolutely. Her name's definitely in the mix. She's got the experience, the leadership skills, the technical knowledge, and the awards, the recognition she's received. It's all well-deserved. The Defense Superior Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, NASA Spaceflight Medals, the Padma Bhushan from India, the Golden Order for Merits from Slovenia. And she was on the BBC's 100 Women list last year. I mean, the list goes on.
Wow, that's a lot of accolades. It really speaks to her impact both within NASA and on a global scale.
She's truly a pioneer. Her work with commercial spaceflight, the amount of time she spent in space, all those achievements. Her legacy in space exploration is secure.
Absolutely. Her story, her accomplishments, the way she handles challenges, it's all so inspiring. It makes you think, right, if she can spend over 600 days in space, adapt to unexpected situations, and still come back smiling, what can we achieve here on Earth? What boundaries can we push? What challenges can we overcome if we apply that same level of dedication and resilience? That's something to think about.
That's a great point to end on. Food for thought for all of us. So until next time, keep looking up, keep exploring, and keep pushing your own personal boundaries.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.